Okay, so welcome everybody to the Starlight Room. Today we have Chris Pappenfuss, and he's going to talk about mixed reality apps with code only. I leave you the floor to you, Chris.
Thank you. Yes, welcome everyone. So this is my first time talking online, so I hope the technology will work. I will go to this corner and guide you through my slides. So first, something about me and the company, my background basically. So I'm Chris Papenfuss. I'm a full-time software engineer for over 15 years now. And the last 6 years, I worked full-time in mixed reality. So mixed reality started for me roughly 10 years ago with Kinect. People started to connect the Kinect, which is a 3D camera from the Xbox, to the PC, and were able to write software using this 3D camera. What you see here is a little project I did back then where you can basically point on the floor and even mark areas on the floor. So it's, like I said, it's 10 years ago and it only works with the camera. There I started developing like digital screens where people can wave with hands and inform about different kinds of software our company does. I am also a father of two kids. Of course, they love testing everything I do and playing with the stuff. Here you can see my son on the left side using the HoloLens 2, testing some software I did for a client. And on the right side is a fairly new device. It's called Tilt 5. It's basically made for gaming. So you have this tabletop thingy and the glasses project only onto this and only for you. Yes, I already said I love doing hackathons. So I don't know if you can see my t-shirt. This is from the MIT Mixed Reality Hack, which is a yearly at the MIT. I've joined it multiple times, and it's basically like-minded people from mixed reality coming together and building great applications over the course of roughly a long weekend. So the company I work for is called Data Experts. I'm based in Germany. The company is actually founded over 60 years ago in 1962. And we have different sites all over Germany. We have 250 employees, and we are a family business, so there's no big company behind it. We work in the industry, public public government and healthcare, and also mixed reality, which I do. And one software is, for example, Profil ELA. With this software, more than 90,000 farmers use it and submit their annual subsidy applications, which is a total volume of more than 3 billion euros. And at the same time, the ministries use our software solution to process all these applications. We have also a fairly large output management system, which is used in different healthcare companies in Germany. Yeah, and the last part, mixed reality solutions, which is the thing I do, and we call our team here Holographic. We started in 2017, and we do individual development for different clients. We have worked together with Deutsche Bahn, Charité, Fraunhofer, Rolls-Royce, Deutsche aerospace industry, and some other research industries. Yes, so that was the frame. Who am I? Why am I doing this? And now mixed reality apps with code only. I hope you are here because you want to know more. So I will only explain mixed reality just a little bit because I think everybody at this conference mostly knows about it, and also OpenXR. And the most part, which I also do live demo later, is development with C# code. So what is mixed reality? For me, well, basically not for me, but I agree with it, but it's from Wikipedia. Mixed reality is explained as merging of a real-world environment and a computer-generated one. So what does that mean? We have our real world, basically this apartment. And when we add digital computer-generated content, for example, this cuckoo clock here in the corner, which is famous here in Germany. Yeah, this is not real there, but it's computer generated. You can say it's a hologram. But of course, sadly for now, we can't really see this without using a headset or a phone. So yeah, again, mixed reality is this complete spectrum from the physical world on the one side and the completely digital world on the other. What you see here is me playing the Beat Saber. Probably all of you know this game, so you're completely immersed in a different world and you slice through boxes which fly at you. And yeah, then we have different devices on this spectrum. So on the left side, I put Google Glass just because, yeah, you have these glasses, you see the real world, and you add just a little bit context to it. For example, like text or a little image or a document, but it's not really aligned with the physical world, but it comes with you. One thing is then, for example, here Pokemon Go. So when you use your phone and activate the camera, you look through it, you can add digital content like the cuckoo clock, or in this case, different Pokemon characters and catch them or, yeah, play whatever. Then a little bit more on the right side, we have the HoloLens or other headsets with either a transparent display or an opaque display with camera pass through. So it again shows you the real world and adds content to it. What is OpenXR? So OpenXR is really, if you break it down, it's just a layer which comes between your code and the device. It's an open standard from the Kronos group, and on the left side you can see how it was before OpenXR. So I have done that, and it was painful. Basically, for every device you want to build an app, you had to rewrite the app. And of course, there were things like Unity, where you could target more than one device, but again, not all, and some work together, some you still have to write if then else code or whatever. And with this OpenXR standard, you can now target OpenXR and it gets more and more support for different features. For example, eye tracking or hands, or even meshing the world around you. Everything is now in OpenXR, and you can just call this OpenXR layer if you want to use it. So if you want to start building apps for mixed reality, one thing you could do is just search how to getting started with mixed reality development. One of the first suggestions you get from either Bing or Google or whatever will probably be learn.microsoft.com because they have fairly good and large documentation and even some nice tutorials which guide you through development for HoloLens, but also mixed reality in general. And one of the first things you need to do when you start is choose an engine. So it's in the documentation. And you can choose Unity or Unreal, but it actually has a really steep, strange learning curve. So I come from classical software development. I do Unity and Unreal now, but the learning curve is it's hard, I would say. And also it's pricey. It gets pricey soon. And I don't know if you've heard the news lately, but Unity will introduce one-time fees. So basically everyone who uses your app, you need to pay for. So what's an alternative? Code only. There in the documentation from Microsoft, you find this text. Native developers with experience writing their own 3D renderers can build a custom engine using OpenXR. So I don't know if you want to do that, if you start to build some domain application for a customer. But of course, that's why we are here. There's a framework for that, StereoKit. It's not from me, it's open source. It self-describes it as StereoKit is an easy-to-use open-source mixed reality library for building HoloLens and VR applications with C# and OpenXR, which sounds nice. And the first commit is actually from July 2019 from Nick Klingsmith. He is still really active, and there's a Discord, and you can ask questions. He will answer you, and or there's a lot of feedback. But there are also other contributors who work on it. You can find it on GitHub. It's yeah, I like it, and I will show you more today. The current version is, by the way, 0.3.8. It's just roughly a month old, so the development is going on. And there's this little table which explains you where you can use it. So you can use it on the normal desktop, like Win32 or x64 applications. So basically every tethered headset like HTC Vive or old Oculus devices will be you can use with it. But you can also build it for ARM applications for the Universal Windows platform. So devices like the HoloLens will work with it, and also for Android. So you can also use devices like the new Quest 3 or yeah, the selection is really large nowadays. I feel even some pictures, different kind of headsets, but I basically told you all about them. Okay, project setup. So how do you what do you need to get started with StereoKit? So Nick has also built a template which you can use to build PC or HoloLens applications. There's also a cross-platform template which with one code you can deploy to Android, PC, HoloLens. And for tools, there's getting started guides for Visual Studio Code, for Visual Studio. And you can even, if you're really into it, just use C and CMake and build your applications on top of that. So I don't know if you follow the slider, but actually I'm through with my slides and I will come back to this slide later. But for now, we want to get started. So you can see there's an empty folder. What I really, yeah, I want to show you how you can build apps now. Live demo, because I like to live dangerous. Every developer knows doing live demos is not the best idea, but yeah, let's do it. Okay, so I create a new folder, global XR demo. I open this folder in code. Let's see on which screen it opens. So it should be this one. Yes. Okay, now I just go into the terminal and let me see, can you see everything For now, that's fine, I think. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I installed already like the .NET SDK and stuff, but I now want to install the .NET new install StereoKit.templates. So that basically pulls the .NET templates from the internet if you write it correctly. StereoKit templates. Okay, and now I want to create a new project using one of these templates because I want to show you that running on different devices. I choose the multi-platform template, .NET new SK multi. Let me have a look. I will make this text larger as soon as I'm going into programming. Okay, so as you can see, it generated some files for me. What I can do now is really just .NET run to see what it does. It should not take too long, that already is. So what we can see now is a 3D world with a cube, a floor. I can even move my hand around. So it's basically a 2D fallback for developing. So I can use my hand, I can use the scroll wheel to scroll my hand further away or nearer. I can grab things, I can move them around. I can move around myself. So I can look at this cube from all different angles. Yes, interesting, but we want to do more. So what I'm doing now is I've created a little overlay because the multi-platform template is based on Maui framework, which sadly right now does not support the Universal Windows platform, which I need for HoloLens. But now I included a different CS project file for HoloLens, which basically allows me to also deploy the device. But I want to do a little game. But first, I want to show you how it runs on the different devices, what I have to do. So what I'm doing now, and you will get all the code later, so don't bother writing anything. I will put a link. Okay, so what I'm doing now is .NET publish and release. I point to the Android project file and I give it an output folder. And I basically now create an APK. Nice. Let me see. I need to, because I put in there my template, I need to exclude the files, the assembly CS file, which gives some metadata for the build application, is now duplicated because there's one for Android, there's one for Universal Windows platform, and I don't want to have it duplicated in all the projects. So as you can see now, it's compiling my DLLs to Android libraries, and hopefully it should be soon finished. Nice. Okay, now I can, let me see if my device is connected. It is connected, so I just installed it from my output Android folder. Here I have created APK. Nice. So I put on the Oculus Quest 3 cable mess. Okay. So because you can't see anything, I created a little tool which should allow you to see everything. Nice. Okay, so let me grab this window and go to the global XR demo, which I just installed. And now you can see I have already hands, I have a cube, I can move it around, and now let's have a look at the code, because it's really just a few lines which allows me to do this. So as you can see, all the code fits on one screen. Okay, zoom in. I hope, let me have a look at the camera, because I want to see that you can read it. Yeah, that should be good. So we have the StereoKit settings. We give it an app name. We say a folder where our assets are. We call SK StereoKit initialize. We define a cube pose. So that's basically the pose of the cube we just saw. We put it 0.5 meters in front of me. We generate a mesh. So also I want a model from mesh. I generate a rounded cube. I give it a size, and what's it? So the edge radius. So if you saw it, it's not a cube with sharp edges, but it has rounded edges even, and a default material. And then we also want to have a floor. In virtual reality, it's always nice to have a floor because people can get really dizzy. We don't have it, but we only want to draw the floor if we have an opaque display, so only for virtual reality. And that code is the only two lines which allows us to grab the cube and move it around. So we don't need any code for hands or whatsoever. Okay, let's see. The exclusion I did from the window, the then mode. I just want to go to the normal CS project and add this really fast. So I can again do the 2D fallback. Yeah, it's still working. Okay, now I want to create a game out of this. And what I'm doing for this, my idea is basically to help the cube move towards me, and I can stop it with my hands, and every time I stop it I get a point, and when I don't stop it I get a negative point. So what I need for that, the cube needs a direction to move. So right now what I'm doing is I initialize somewhere on top after the StereoKit is initialized direction. So move direction. It's a new vector because I could move in 3 dimensions, but I only want it to move towards me. So not left, right, not up, down, but only in my direction with this speed for now. And like I said, I want some points. I should start at 0 always. And now let's see. Sorry, I have my notes because I'm a little bit nervous and I don't want to make too many mistakes. I will definitely make mistakes, but
Chris,
yes.
could you make your font a bit bigger so we can
Yes.
see what you're writing, please? Thanks.
Is it good this way? Or still?
I think it's much better now. Thanks.
This is a little bit too big. Zoom out, so this way. Okay. So I don't want the cube to be handled again, so I don't need it handled, but I want it to move towards me automatically. So what I basically do is I take the pose and the position and that's right. Pose position and I add the move direction. And again, to see, should already enable the cube here. Potentially you saw it, but it's really, really fast. So what we normally do is we add a multiplier with the current frame time. So basically, even when you have some frames which take longer because you do some background work or whatever, it's moved with the same velocity all the time. Yes. So let's see how fast it is now. Okay. For now, it's a really slow cube, but I think for the beginning, that's good. And you saw it did not stop because I didn't tell it to stop. So now my idea was that I can hold the cube with my hands, or basically put my hands in front of it, and then it will reset and start again. Okay, so the best thing to do this, I need the hands, and because there are multiple hands, I could just iterate. So I could write code for the left hand and code for the right hand, but I think it's easier to just use the built-in enum. So there's an enum which is called handed, and it has even a max value. So of course there should only be two hands, but still it looks nicer, I think, to use it this way. So now I iterate through all the hands. So there are only two for now, but so I want one hand input dot hand, and I want hand with the index this, but I have to cast it again to the enum. So now I have one hand and I can check if it collides with the cube. And to know how it collides, I need to think about what I want. So I probably don't only want the tip of my index finger or only the palm. So I need some kind of area which should touch the cube. So what I do here is I need my model there, cube dot bounds. So yeah, that's the bounds of the cube, and I can ask it if it contains anything. So if anything is inside this bounds of the cube, which of course is defined by the size of the cube. And I have my hand, and first I do, okay, let's do it this way. What I can contain for a point, but as I said before, I don't want to look for a point. I can look for a line, and I can look for a line with the radius. But actually what I want to do now is I define a line from the tip of my index finger to the palm of my hand, and basically, yeah, when this line is somewhere inside the bounds of the cube, I want to have a point and yeah, and reset the cube. So I choose the position, and what I also need to do is subtract the cube position, because the bounds is just local coordinates, but the position, that's also where I draw the cube. Yes, and dot, let me see. Okay, so I want to get the finger from my hands with the finger ID index and the joint ID tip. It gives me the tip of my finger, and I want the position of that. And again, I need to subtract the position cube. And now, yeah, so if my cube is, if the line from the palm of my hand, the fingertip of my finger is somewhere in the bounds of the cube, then I want to point. And I also want to reset the cube. Cube pose dot position this guy, and now I want to define, let me see, can I do this? Introduce local for new. I say start position pose, and then I can just always set the start pose to the cube pose. And the other thing I need to do is, if the cube pose dot position dot z is smaller than the head position, so basically when it's behind my head, then I want it also to reset and subtract the point. Points. Wait. Oh, let's have a look. Okay. It should not be cube pose position. I think it should be larger. Yes, of course. That was my mistake. Because that minus goes inside the screen, and yes. Okay. Pretty easy for now, because I can just let my hand here and I will get points, points, points. So I should introduce some randomness, but I won't do that now, just because I want us to see our points. And therefore we need some kind of user interface. And that's actually also pretty easy, because the framework provides everything we need. What I do here is I just say window begin. I give it a title. I will call it game points. And this also needs a position, so a menu pose. And I need to define that menu pose. And I want, where do I want it? Pose. New pose. So I think somewhere in the same distance as the starting point, but of course a little bit to the side. So let's put it 0.5 meters to the side. But we can get this later. And yes, we want to have a label with points, which shows our point. And for now, nothing else. So basically, window end, and that should give us a nice little window, yes, which looks in the wrong direction. So suppose give it an orientation, but look direction with again a new vector, which should just be this. Sorry. So now it should look in my direction. Yes. I can see I have 0 points, I have 1 point, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Nice. So what I want to show you now is how we could add the pass-through capability from the Quest. So we need to define some settings from StereoKit. So length option is what I want, and it should be transparent. So I want the display to be transparent, but I also, because of how the Quest works, I need to define a new stepper, it's called. So I need to basically enable the pass-through option. Pass-through, and it should be sk get or create stepper from pass-through meta extension. So there's a OpenXR pass-through meta extension which I want to use. And after initializing, I need to enable this thing. So if everything works right, there should be no difference here, yes. But when I build this for the test, which should again only take a few seconds. Let's wait for it. 12 or 13. It is probably more interesting for you if I already start this up, put on the Quest, show you again. Yes. Okay. Start again the same application, and I have the cube coming towards me. Can stop it. I have points. Yes, and when I move my head away from it, I get minus points. Close. Okay, because the time is flying actually, let me just copy the code I already prepared and show you what it does. So also when I will upload the code to GitHub, you have more interesting code to look at. So to make it more exciting, I will just build it for the Quest. Named it. See, I expected. What did I do? That was not a good idea. Okay, let's do it the other way around. Let me pull over this. Build this for virtual use Android. There it is. And I will make sure that I upload this code to GitHub. So you have a more interesting demo to look at. But it will probably take, I don't know if I can make it today. I can make it today. Assemblies will be optimized. Okay, on the headset. Wait for the build to finish. Actually, the nice thing with the Quest, you should be able to see this. I can enable pass-through, and I can look at it from here. ADB, install offboard Android. There it is. Already installed. Nice. So now, because it was my first test, I have a different application name, but I have cubes, which yeah, you can see that even has a transparent layer, so it looks nice. And I have a start screen, and I have some randomized locations and even speed. So it's a little bit more entertaining. Close. So now it's already showing interesting. Okay. So now let's go back to my slide. Yeah, you can scan this code, and I will upload. There's also a link to my GitHub. Right now, the repository I have linked there is empty because I want to upload exactly this code you saw today, but I will do it probably tomorrow. And you can also find a link to the slides. And thank you for listening. I can't hear you. You're muted.
You are obstructing the QR code, so just move your head a bit down, please.
I'm hiding under it. Yeah. All right. I think that was enough time.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a very nice session with real time demo. Um, well, there are no questions so far, but I have a bit. Um, so as I was telling you, uh, to have a demonstration on real time, it's also scary because sometimes it doesn't work as you want. But actually, yours works pretty well, and it's amazing to see how with just few line of codes you are able to run just simple applications, but at least is the basement to build a more complex application on top of that. And I think it's all about this, right? To take the elementary blocks and then build more complex applications.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it depends what you want to do. You can even load some 3D models into it if you just want to look at a 3D model. You don't want to you don't want to start Unity and build the application. It's way faster to do it this way. But as you said, if you want to build really complex applications, of course the code will get complex too.
Yeah, and also as you're saying, by working only with code is much faster than running an interference and a platform like Unity or Unreal Engine where you are actually visualizing your 3D models, but you don't need it because everything is made with code. If you are dealing only with code, you should be able to create this kind of apps.
Yes.
Ken Ross says, great presentation, very cool framework.
Thank you. Yes, I was a little bit rushed, but I think you get the point. And anybody interested in this framework, have a look into it. And there are also a lot of samples. And yeah,
Yeah, I think you demonstrated your point that you can build apps only using code. Um, as you said, in the QR code, you have the repository, so anyone who wants to try exactly the same code you were coding right now, they can implement them and start playing with it. Because for a session of 40 minutes is not enough, but you demonstrated your point.
exactly. Thanks. Okay.
Is there something else you want to comment or clarify?
I mean, I can just scroll through the StereoKit website, so stereokit.net, and yeah, it has a lot of sample code if you want to scroll through it. So what's interesting, like a mesh generation probably, or material. So it has a really lot of things where already examples exist, and you can build on top of it. So here you can see it just loaded like a little 3D model into it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing about these platforms that some people already made the hard work, and we just have to look at the samples and build on top of that. Basically, we are standing on their shoulders to build our custom applications, which is very nice because a lot there is also a lot of documentation how to use it, some work that exemplifies how these models are used. So I think it's great. It's great.
Yes.
So can you show again then the name of this repo of this framework, please?
So it's
StereoKit.
called StereoKit, and the URL is really just, I mean, if you look for it, you will find it, but it also has a really good GitHub repository, StereoKit. Yes.
And it can be deployed in either the MetaQuest or the HoloLens or any headset for VR.
Any headset, so any headset running on OpenXR should be possible, and you find issues or discussions for basically all the headsets, I would say. But of course, again, the OpenXR framework is standardized, but not everybody uses the standard in the same form. So sometimes you have to do some fiddling, but there's a good chance somebody else already did it and you just need to copy what he did.
True. Yes, that's something good about the OpenXR, that it's a framework that unifies all the devices.
Yeah.
So hopefully one day will be like the trend of devices. So thank Chris. Thanks. If you have something else to add, go ahead, or otherwise we can close up here this session.
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks everyone for listening and thank you for moderating.
No problem. It was a pleasure to see your work.
Thanks.
So thank you everybody and have a good night.
Good night.